Well, first of all, I wanted to give Canadians an update about the Diamond Princess, which is the ship off the coast of Yokohama in Japan. I had a discussion with the Foreign Minister of Japan this morning. Obviously, we were seeking reassurance with respect to the 12 Canadians which have been tested positive for the coronavirus. Some of them are still on the ship. Some have been taken care of by the local health authorities. I've obviously asked for an update from my Japanese counterpart and make sure that we could receive all the necessary information to provide consular services to the Canadians. We have also dispatched some health officials to Tokyo to make sure we could be in direct contact with the Japanese authorities. Obviously, we're doing all we can from the consular side to provide that assistance. We know that there are some people who need medications on board. They want to have contact with their family. We're facilitating that. We have 2 emergency response teams in Yokohama dealing with the issues, and we're coordinating. I've been in touch with, obviously, the CEO of All in America pretty much every day this week, asking regular updates about what's going on. We're coordinating with U.S. authorities as well, and we will obviously provide more information as it comes. We understand that from the Japanese authorities that they may allow for some people to disembark from the ship and be put in quarantine on shore. We are following with that. They will provide specifics during the course of the next hours, I would think, to identify exactly who could disembark the ship and be taken care of by Japanese health authorities. En français, écoutez, je voulais vous donner une mise à
I
jour
wanted
sur,
to give you an
évidemment,
update regarding,
les
of course,
Canadiens et
the
les Canadiennes
Canadians
qui sont
who
sur le
are
navire
on
Diamond
the
Princess,
Diamond
qui est
Princess,
près
a
des
ship
côtes de
that is
Yokohama au
close
Japon.
to Yokohama's
J'ai parlé avec mon
coast in
homologue japonais
Japan.
ce
I
matin
spoke with
pour lui
my
demander, évidemment,
Japanese counterpart
un
this
état de
morning
la
to have
situation et pour m'assurer
a
aussi
new
que les Canadiens et
status
Canadiennes à
report
bord
and to
reçoivent
make
toute
sure the
l'attention
Canadians on
consulaire
board get all the
nécessaire.
consular
On a
attention
aussi
necessary, and
envoyé
we've also
des
sent
spécialistes de l'Agence
specialists from the
canadienne de la santé
Canadian Health
à
Agency
Tokyo pour
in
pouvoir être en
Tokyo
contact
in order to be in
directement avec
touch
les
directly
autorités
with
japonaises.
Japanese
Et on a aussi
authorities,
envoyé
and
des
we
agents
also
consulaires, 2
sent
équipes
some
d'urgence qui sont
consular
maintenant à Yokohama
helps
pour
and are
faciliter
currently in
évidemment l'aide
Yokohama
consulaire. On
to
sait qu'il y a des gens
help
qui ont besoin de médicaments.
to that
Il y a des gens qui sont sur
consular
place pour
support. Some
donner
people
toute
need
l'information.
medication. Some people
Et ce
are on
qu'on a
site to
entendu
give
des
as much
autorités
information as
japonaises,
possible. And
c'est
we've
qu'il y
heard from
aurait
Japanese
possiblement des
authorities
gens
that
qui
there are
seraient
possibly some people
possible de,
who could
on dit désembarquer ou de quitter
come
le
off the
navire et de
ship
faire la
or leave the
quarantaine
ship
à bord,
and do the quarantine
sur la terre ferme. Donc, on est en train de suivre avec les
on
autorités
land, and
japonaises
we're following with
les
the
conditions
Japanese
dans lesquelles
authorities
ça se
the
fait,
conditions in which
qui pourrait être
this could happen,
admissible. On
who
aura
could be
certainement plus de
admissible, and
détails
we'll have more
dans les
details on that
prochaines
in the
heures pour
coming
communiquer évidemment
hours
aux
in
familles.
order to communicate
Notre
with
première
families.
priorité,
And our
c'est
first
toujours
priority
d'aider
is always
les
to
Canadiens. On sait
help
qu'on a
Canadians,
12
and
personnes
we have
qui
12 people
ont,
who are,
selon les tests, ont
according to the
contracté
tests,
le
have contracted the
coronavirus sur ce
coronavirus
navire-là.
on that ship.
Donc, évidemment, on
And
travaille
so
avec les
we are
autorités
working with
japonaises là-dessus.
Japanese authorities
Sur le
on this.
Western Dam, qui est
Regarding the
l'autre
Western
navire,
Dam, which
qui,
is the
lui,
other
est
ship
présentement
that is currently
sur les côtes ou près d'arriver à
close
Sihanoukville, au
to
Cambodge.
Sihanoukville
J'ai
in
parlé au ministre des Affaires étrangères cambodgien ce matin
Cambodia,
pour
and we
m'assurer
spoke with
que
the
3 ministres cambodgiens seraient
Cambodian
sur place
foreign
pour
minister, and
s'assurer
we want
évidemment
to make sure that the
que ces
3
gens-là puissent
ministers will be on site to make sure that the 3 that the people would be transited to another ship and sent to Phnom Penh in their destination Canada. We have over 250 Canadians on board on that ship. All the information are telling us that there is no case of coronavirus on the Western Dam, and then so there would be a normal evacuation with the authorities of Holland America would be responsible to bring those people back home.
I just want to give the Western Dam update. That's the other ship, which is currently on the coast of Sihanoukville in Cambodia. I spoke to the foreign minister of Cambodia this morning. They have assured me that they've dispatched 3 ministers to make sure that we would provide all the assistance necessary, that the disembarkation of the Canadians on board, we have more than 250 Canadians on board, that they could go on shore, be transferred to Phnom Penh, which is the capital, and then onward to their destination. So we've also dispatched consular officials in the region to make sure that we could facilitate. But obviously, that would be the responsibility of the cruise line, which is All in America. I spoke to the CEO pretty much every day this week. We're very much on top and making sure that we can help Canadians.
With regards to the health status of people who are on the boat in Japan, how many confirmed infections there, and
So the latest information I got, which is this morning, I speak to our Canadian ambassador to Tokyo every day. The latest count was 12 people which had contracted the coronavirus. We have 3, potentially 4, which are going to be in hospitals, which have been hospitalized to receive all the assistance that they would need. So we are still monitoring, obviously, the situation very carefully with the Japanese authorities, obviously. And just let me correct, it's 12 Canadians which have contracted the virus. And we have, these Canadians are in health facilities in Japan.
Can I ask you about China? Would you say that in the past few weeks, given the contact you're having with them over the coronavirus, has there been any sort of thawing in Canada-China relations?
Well, I would say since we started our response to the virus in China, we have been in contact. I expect to meet my Japanese and Chinese counterpart, for that matter, in, as you know, we're on our way to Munich. We expect to have a discussion with respect to the coronavirus, get an update, and making sure that everything is done. But we have repatriated more than 400 Canadians now from the Hubei province, and they are, as you know, in Trenton. But I will certainly seek an update from my Chinese counterpart about the status of the situation in China.
Are you deliberately trying to highlight?
Canadians are still in China who wants to come back. Will they be able to come back in the coming days or weeks to come back to the country? It's still a fear. That, you know, there's one case of one Canadian who had her spouse is still there, or his spouse that's still there and wants to come back. At the last call, there was a lot of our permanent residents still there. Some told us that only Canadian passport holders would come back. With time, I think this rule has been a bit softer. And my knowledge that we brought back every Canadian that wanted to be on a second flight to Canada that arrived recently in Canada on February 11th. Of course, we still give consular help because some people have decided to stay for personal reasons in Wuhan or in Hubei province. And so we continue to be in touch with them. And I would tell you that Canadians who wanted to come back have all been contacted and are home.
Yeah, what I was saying is that in the second flight from Canada, as you would recall, when I spoke last to you on this issue, the Chinese authority had indicated that only Canadian citizens would be allowed to board the plane to come back in Canada. We have seen more flexibility from the Chinese authorities in the second flight because we had a number of permanent residents with links to Canada which have been allowed on the second flight. We have repatriated close to 400 Canadians by now, and obviously we're continuing to provide consular assistance to Canadians which have decided to remain in Wuhan for personal reasons. Some have decided that it's best for them to stay. And we will continue to obviously work with them, be in contact with them as the situation evolves.
Can I just clarify that?
Sure.
We understand there may be 66 Canadians still in Wuhan who want to come home and are having some issues. I don't know if you have any numbers on that. And also, if I'm a permanent resident of Canada in Hubei and I want to come home, it's the Chinese then that have to be convinced to allow you to return as opposed to the Canadian side?
So, based on the latest information, and I do speak to our Chinese and Japanese ambassador on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day, just to make sure we have the latest. I have not received information that we still have Canadians there would like to be repatriated. We were very clear last time that the second Canadian flight would be, the last flight would be chartered to bring back Canadians to Canada and to Trenton. Obviously, as we would always do, we keep providing consular assistance to Canadians which are in Hubei or in Wuhan, and for that matter, across China. And as you know, we have advised Canadians to avoid travel to Hubei province, and we have advised Canadians to avoid all non-essential travel to China. And we even went further to suggest to Canadians that they should, for non-essential presence in China, consider to take commercial flights because this is a very evolving situation. And we know that different restrictions could be imposed over time. So we've called on Canadians to obviously come back to commercial means by commercial airlines to Canada.
Is there
Some people on the ship will be able to
Alors, vous
come on
parlez
land in
du
Japan?
navire
Oh, you're
qui est
speaking
présentement au
about
Japon,
the
le
ship
Diamond
in
Princess, parce qu'on en a
Japan, the
un
Diamond
au
Princess,
Cambodge
because we have one in
qui a
Cambodia
pas de
that
cas
has
rapportés du
no
coronavirus.
reported
Celui qui est au
case of
Japon,
the
qui évidemment
coronavirus. And
attire
the
toute
ship
notre
in
attention
Japan
parce qu'on
has
a
all our
12
attention
Canadiens
at
qui ont
that because there's
contracté
two Canadians who have
le
contracted
virus, le
the
coronavirus,
virus, the
selon les dernières
coronavirus,
informations
according to
qu'on
the
a.
latest information we
Ce que je
have.
disais, c'est que
What I was
suite
saying
à
is
l'appel
that
que j'ai eu avec
following
le
the call
ministre
that
des
I had
Affaires
with the
étrangères
foreign
japonais, ce
minister
que
of
je comprends,
Japan,
parce
what
que
I
les lois de
understand is
quarantaine,
that
évidemment,
the
varient d'un pays à l'autre. Et selon
quarantine
les lois
laws
de la
vary
quarantaine
from one
au
country
Japon,
to another,
ce que
but
le
the
ministre m'a
Japanese laws
indiqué,
for
c'est que le Japon est en
quarantine
train
is
de
that
considérer
Japan is
de
considering
transférer
that
certains
they
passagers qui
could
seraient à bord
transfer a
du navire
few
et de les amener plutôt
passengers on the
sur
ship
la
and
terre
bring them
ferme pour
on land
poursuivre la
to
quarantaine
continue
sur la
their
terre ferme.
quarantine on land.
À ma connaissance,
In my
mais
knowledge,
là je vous dis sur la base de ce que
again,
je
on the
comprends
basis
de
of what
notre
I
discussion,
understand,
les
in our
autorités
discussion,
japonaises étaient encore en
Japanese
train
authorities were still
de vérifier d'abord
verifying
les
first
installations
the
nécessaires,
necessary
l'assistance
sites
médicale qui serait fournie
and the
et
facilities
comment ce
and the
transfert-là
medical help
serait
that would be
organisé. Ce que je
necessary. Now
comprends,
this
c'était
transfer would
les
happen.
personnes plus âgées,
The
les personnes
older
qui pourraient
people
avoir
and
des
those
conditions
who
médicales
had
plus
more
fragiles. Évidemment,
fragile
ce qu'on
medical
a fait, nous,
conditions.
on a envoyé des agents
And we've
de
sent some
l'Agence de santé
agents
publique
from
du
the
Canada à
Canadian
Tokyo
Health
pour vraiment être en
Agency
contact
in
direct avec les
Tokyo
autorités
to be in
japonaises,
touch
d'abord
directly with
pour pouvoir
Japanese
échanger
authorities,
des
first
idées
to exchange
et aussi
ideas and
s'assurer
also
que tout
to
ce
make
qui se
sure
passe
that
là-bas,
everything that happens there,
qu'on prenne le meilleur soin qu'on
that
peut,
we
évidemment, des
take
Canadiens
care
qui
of
sont
our
soumis,
Canadians
évidemment,
as
à la
much
loi
as
de la quarantaine
possible
au Japon.
that are submitted to that law, the quarantine law in Japan.
China, the aid that Canada is giving in this situation?
No, I think Canada was one of the many countries which responded to the health emergency in China. A number of countries that I'm aware have been sending supplies, and I think in times of need like that, it's important for countries to come together. Although the coronavirus, the epicenter was in Wuhan, in Hubei, I think that now it has become clear for everyone that the world community should be working together to provide assistance.